therapy. It's not because I was married to the man who created it. I would have the same enthusiasm even if I had not been, although that certainly added an invaluable dimension to my understanding and practice of it. That can't be denied. But I adore it so very much because it is not only a scientific, evidence-based, no-nonsense therapeutic approach imbued with compassion, but it is also a way of life for those of us who choose to adopt it as such. It is not complicated. It's arguably the first, if not one of the first self-help approaches, wherein a person could read a book by Dr. Albert Ellis and understand the principles, and if they were motivated to, without therapy, apply them to their everyday life and notice healthy change and learn through the reading and understanding and practice that to maintain healthy change requires ongoing effort. So because it is not only an empowering and powerful, effective cognitive approach, the pioneering one that heralded in the cognitive revolution in psychotherapy, and that's one of the things I'll perhaps say more of in a little while, to get the history straight, because unfortunately, and Dr. Dom DiMattia, in your morning, my evening last night, I'm in New York, so I'm in the morning of your evening, he touched on this as well. The fact of the matter is that it was REBT that was the first one in a pronounced way, the first holistic theory to truly challenge the domination of psychoanalysis last century up until the 1950s, when my late husband brought out his approach. More about that in a little while. But I feel that it is, knowledge is treasure. I think the most important treasure of human life is good health and a meaningful life. But then another primary invaluable element of being a human is the ability to have knowledge and facts and accurate knowledge. And as time is going on, and I'm speaking at this Asian Cognitive Behavior Therapy Conference, so it is very appropriate, I feel, to remind the younger attendees. I feel those who are perhaps above, say, 30 years of age, they probably, well, some, if they were in the US, they may have actually seen Dr. Ellis live, my late husband, the other one, I'm one, he was the first one, and known of him. But I'm finding that many younger students and practitioners have the misconception that REBT is a little part of the marvelous CBT. Please don't misinterpret me as, well, there's REBT and there's CBT. No, we're one family. But let's get the historical record straight, that CBT and the second wave, third wave, fourth wave, now there's a fourth wave CBT approach, stand on the shoulders of REBT, which in my opinion is the most holistic of them all, and elements of it are seen in all the cognitive approaches that followed. So it is my joy not only to have the opportunity to set the historical record straight for those people who it's no fault of theirs if they haven't been taught it or guided to read the right books, that REBT pioneered cognitive behavior therapy and has unique elements not seen in the approaches that followed. Some of its elements are seen in one and other, but as a whole unit, I feel, and yes, I'm biased, but I also think I'm being factual, that within it is contained the scientific, cognitive, behavioral, the focus on understanding emotions in a way that other cognitive approaches don't do. And it's imbued with compassion. So my pleasure to be here. I understand that attending, we have a combination of both professionals in the field of psychology, counseling, psychotherapy, and students. And I was told that there are also members from the general public, so that I hope I'm able to speak at a level that satisfies one and all. And of course, REBT reminds us that nothing is perfect. And so I don't have unrealistic expectations, but I'll do the best I can in this moment. Another thing I want to say before I get into the nitty-gritty of the topic that I've been invited to speak on is in reference to this COVID chapter that we're all going through. It's a reminder, even though people here, we are from over 80 different countries, and I believe that without exception, each one of us has been and is affected by this pandemic. It's a reminder of the fact that each individual is a biological entity, not necessarily immune from other elements in nature. It reminds us that we all strive to survive, that many of us not only mindfully want to survive, but want to flourish, want to thrive. And I think one of the common elements to practically every individual is that we want to be happy. And again, coming back to the approach of REBT, I don't know of another tool as effective, understood by people at the various elements of, degrees of education or none. It is applicable with the how-tos of coping well when bad things happen. I want to offer my condolences to any of you who have lost people, family, friends, close ones, colleagues through COVID, and frankly, through any other reason. COVID isn't the only reason for people passing away. And therein again, it's so important, if our goal is to suffer less misery and to experience more joy in life, despite and including the suffering and loss that is in most cases inevitable in a human life. It's important that we embrace what REBT calls unconditional life acceptance, that we're willing to accept that there will be loss and suffering, whether it's a pandemic, illness, accident, or some other cause. But that despite and including that, if we're still alive, then we still have things that we can be grateful for. And REBT reminds us, yes, to accept the suffering, to do what we can to cope. Very importantly, to do what we can to help other people. And at the same time, choose to remember each day what we can be grateful for.